Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own struggles, having borderline personality disorder. I talk about my struggles having post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, panic attacks, depression, schizophrenia, narcissism, bipolar. I talk about all the different types of therapy I've been in, CBD, CBT, DBT, psychoanalytical, psychodynamic, and my unethical psychologist that sexually abused me, and just a plethora of other mental health related issues. But I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. Um, I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I cannot give you a professional diagnosis or even opinion. All I ask of you in return is please be kind in the comments, be kind to me, be kind to everyone else who comments. We don't have to agree on everything, but we need to agree on showing respect and kindness. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button there on the lower right hand corner so you'll be notified every time a new video comes on. And if you like what you see, give it a thumbs up. Now, today I'm going to talk about my unethical psychologist, Dr. Richard Geis, Harvard trained, got degrees from Harvard, doctorate degree from Harvard, teaches students from Harvard, supervises other psychologists from Harvard, and he's ruined my life. It's all in this book, Sexually Exploited by Free Psychologists. Now, I have the links to all my books down below in case you're interested in reading more about the profound, just like bizarre therapies that I did have. Dr. Richard Geis encouraged me to have sex with another psychologist I was also seeing at the time, Dr. James Barberia. He told me that I should ask him to go upstairs in his bedroom and lay down in his bed with him. Tell him it will be fun. Imagine trying to get me to have sex with another psychologist, knowing that it's unethical. Both of these psychologists ganged up on me in therapy, both together. I was together with both of them in the same office, one having sex with me, one encouraging me to have sex with the other psychologist, and they're both telling me that I can never report them to the licensing board. Now, it just didn't begin there with having being forced into sex with a psychologist. Dr. Richard Geis really played horrendous, horrific mind games with me. This picture is really true. In one session, I had a leather spiked collar and a metal heavy chain. See that metal heavy chain? And Dr. Geis had that wrapped around his wrist and was walking me around the office like a dog on a collar. I had a collar, a leather spike collar on my neck, and he had a metal chain attached to the collar, which was around my neck, and he walked me around his office just like I was a dog. Now, what brings a psychologist who's trained, this is not how therapy is supposed to be. What therapy is supposed to be is the psychologist sits in the chair, the patient sits in the other chair. The patient talks, the psychologist listens with empathy. The psychologist might ask some important questions. Oh, plane going by. But they're not supposed to be, on the floor. I was on the floor with him, He was dragging me around on a leash, pretending I was a dog. I've been in his lap. I grabbed his penis. I had my hands all over his body. I know he has a mole right up below his, right above his belly button, below his nipples. There's a big mole here. How do I know that? Because my hands were all over him. This is never supposed to happen in therapy. There should be no touching at all. I was even giving him a back massage. He was on the floor. I was above him, and I was giving him a back massage on his shoulders, his lower back, all the way down to the crack of his ass almost. The reason why I have this whole channel and all these books is because I want to bring this out in the open. For so long, I was shamed into just like someone who's sexually abused is always, most of the time, shamed into keeping it quiet. And then a lot of times, I have read and I have seen from other videos, watching other videos about sexual abuse, that even when the person who is sexually abused has enough courage to come forward and tell an adult what happened, usually they're not believed. That's the horrific part about it. Usually they're shamed and said and not believed. The person says, "You made that up. That's not true." I've even heard from people. There was this woman at work. I'm not going to say her name, of course, because I would never break a trust. If someone confides in me, I will never break a trust. But there was a woman at work on one of my jobs who was raped by her uncle. I'm not going to say the details of it. But she was raped, and she told her mother, and her mother didn't believe her. And this is true. So Dr. Richard Geis told me I can never tell anyone. He told me I was responsible. He said I was equally, his exact words were, I was equally responsible for the relationship. Now, first of all, there is no equal relationship. The therapist is in a fiduciary relationship, in a fiduciary position of power. I don't want to say relationship. Therapist is in a position of power. The patient is very vulnerable and mentally, unstable a lot of times. I'm not going to say every patient that goes to therapy is mentally unstable, because that's not true. But I was very vulnerable and mentally unstable, obviously, if I'm letting someone walk me around on a leash like a dog. Do you think I would do that now? Are you kidding me? Never. But back then, I was unstable. And he exploited me. He took advantage of me, and he exploited me. And that's not okay. I brought him to the licensing board, but it's been a year and a half, and the licensing board hasn't done anything. I looked it up, and he renewed his license. You can look that stuff up, and there is no strike against him. They don't report anything, okay, unless their license gets suspended, but it's still an ongoing investigation, which means that he's free to collect the $300 for 15 minutes from every patient, and no one knows any better, and nothing, he's clean as a whistle. Meanwhile, I have extreme insomnia. I can't sleep. I have severe panic attacks, and if anyone knows, how many of you have ever had a panic attack? Okay? I've had severe ones. I turned into an alcoholic because, why did I turn into an alcoholic? I never had a drinking problem my whole life until I was in my 50s. Why did I turn into an alcoholic? Because I went to therapy to help me with the trauma of my childhood, from having a schizophrenic father who was delusional and psychotic and in and out of mental hospitals, and who left me as a little girl, with a narcissistic mother who beat me and called me horrific names and shamed me and belittled me, and just, and I was an only child. No one helped me. The teachers turned their back, turned a blind eye, a blind ear, deaf ear, blind eye to it all. So I went to therapy to get help, and then what happens in my therapies? I was sexually abused. I was treated like a dog, literally treated like a dog. Okay, you know how someone uses that term like, oh, you know, they treated me like a dog. No, I was literally treated like a dog. I was, pulled on a leash, on a chain leash in his office. He encouraged me to have sex with my psychologist, telling me to go in his bed with him. He told me, oh yeah, plenty of therapists have sex with their patients, like it happens every day. They saw me together, the both of them, ganged up on me. I just need to make people aware of what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know. He gives speeches all around the country, and everyone thinks he's just like wonderful, right? Because he talks a good game, But in reality, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors in Dr. Richard Geiss's office. And I'm telling you, as a patient of 16 years, a former patient, I haven't been in therapy in the last 3 years. I've been therapy free. Thank God. And I'm doing a little better, a little better. I only drink 2 glasses of wine now instead of 5 vodka drinks. Instead of drinking like a half whatever bottle of vodka, I'm drinking 2 glasses of wine. I'm having less anxiety because I'm working on my books. I'm putting out all these books to inform patients and other therapists too. That patients, you can ruin your life, okay? Dr. James Barberia ruined his life because I got a lawyer. And, they teach you in school never to take advantage of patients. Absolutely no sex, no outside relationship, no friendship, no touching. They teach you this, So for someone to say I didn't know any better is an outright lie, because they teach you, they ingrain this in the students. If you're a psychology student, you would know that that's the first thing they teach you, and they ingrain that in your head, that you can never have a relationship with your patient. No friendship, no sex, no touching, nothing. So I'm not trying to come on here as a victim. I'm trying to come on here as a patient advocate, to teach other patients, to teach other therapists that these, things do go on behind closed doors. You can't believe everything that, you hear, just because someone has a great title, okay? Harvard is a very prestigious college, you know, teaching Harvard, giving speeches throughout the country, writing books, writing lectures, and writing papers. It all looks good on paper, but it's all a bunch of lies. It's just a bunch of lies, okay? Because I've been behind closed doors with the man, and I'm telling you, he doesn't have any scruples at all. No scruples at all. And he's not the only one who doesn't have any scruples. There's many more who don't have any scruples. I've been to, in the 20 years of therapy, I've been to like dozens and dozens of different therapists. Men, women, young, old, different races, black, white, European. I've run the gamut of like every kind of therapist, because I've been in therapy so long, and I just said enough. In the last 3 years, I've been doing it on my own. But I wanted to get the message out there of like how I was treated like a dog. I was sexually exploited. I was raped because a patient can never give consent. So if a patient has sex with a therapist, even if they agree to it, it's still considered statutory rape. Statutory rape, because a patient can never give consent. You hear what I'm saying? A patient cannot give consent. So if they have sex with their therapist, it's rape. If you can't give consent, it's rape. It's called statutory rape. Even if you said, well, she wanted it, she agreed to it, that don't wash, because they're taught that you can never, a patient can never agree to it because they're in a vulnerable position, and the psychologist is in a position of power. So I'm going to keep spreading my message and getting it out there that about these therapists. I've been quiet for too long. I've been shamed into, not telling anyone, and now I'm coming on and telling everyone.